You don't have to be a big deal. I recently discovered that a major roadblock in my life that has been really keeping me from thriving, that has been keeping me from moving forward in my life, has been this underlying belief that in order to have success, in order to do anything, in order to really be notable or to just succeed in life in general, I had to be a big deal. In order to prove myself, I had to be a big deal. In order to make anything of my life, I had to be a big deal. This belief led me to take actions that it was either go big or go home. It was never things are good here, so I'm just gonna like sit here, or I just like this, and so I'm just going to do it because I like it. Because I believed that in order to see any kind of success, I had to be a big deal, I was refusing to allow myself to be happy with small things, with simple things, and I was refusing to see success. So let me break this down for you. Let me break down my thought process when it comes to being a big deal. So for me, being a big deal, this whole idea of being a big deal meant that, number one, I proved myself in some kind of fashion, that I was going to, everybody's going to know my name. I'm going to show them. I'm going to be big. I'm going to be something important. I'm going to have massive impact. I'm going to affect and impact the entire world, and people are going to know who I am, and people are going to respect me, and, big. I'm going to be big. And it also meant that I felt this need to do big things. It was never one of those deals where it's like, oh, I'm just going to have this simple job. Like I've shared in previous videos, I'm a virtual assistant, and I didn't allow myself to think of that as maybe I just lean into that. Maybe I just lean into and do that, because in my mind I thought any career that I have to be big. I have to be this major influence. I have to, once again, everybody needs to know my name. And so I didn't lean into something that I really did and do enjoy. And I believed that it was a waste of time, that it wasn't going to get me anywhere, that it wasn't going to be, it wasn't going to get me where I wanted to be because it wasn't big. I leaned into things like this YouTube channel, writing, just any sort of social media, anything like that. In my mind, I thought, in order to be successful, I have to have 1 million followers, 1 million subscribers. I need to be making millions of dollars. I need to live in this house. I need to have this kind of career. People need to know who I am. I need to be popular. Right? I was just stressed over this whole idea of I'm going to be important to the world. I was sort of, thinking about this a couple of weeks ago, and this whole thought process has really just grown and sent me, I've just really gone deep into this idea and into this thought of I don't need to be a big deal. And what initiated it was that I hadn't seen success. I hadn't seen the I'm a big deal success that I thought I needed and that I required out of myself in order to feel successful. And, this one day I was just driving home and I thought, I am miserable. I feel like a failure. I feel like a deadbeat. I feel like I haven't done anything with my life, which is not true. It's not true. I have done a lot of stuff with my life, and I've been through a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things. I have a lot of skills, and I have a lot of value. But I just felt like a failure because nobody knew my name. I wasn't a big deal, and I hadn't made it, we're going to say, and I hadn't achieved this massive impact caliber of career that I thought I needed. I hadn't reached the millions. My name, wasn't in lights and stuff like that. And I was just so miserable, and I felt so bad about myself. And I was really thinking, why do I feel so bad about myself, and how can I stop? Because feeling bad about yourself, that's not going to get you anywhere. But how do I stop feeling bad about myself? Because I just feel like a failure, and I have failed to achieve that thing that I think and thought I needed. I have failed to achieve this bigness that I thought I needed. And so I really looked at it and I really thought about it, and it was like, okay, number one, Ellison, you don't need to be a big deal. You don't need to be a big deal. And I thought about, okay, my high school career. I thought about different things in my life that I've done that I've considered myself to be so successful at, but that, I wasn't this major, I wasn't a prodigy. I wasn't making millions. Nobody knew who I was, right? And I went back to my experience with dance and with ballet. I danced for about 15 years, and I was really good. I was really good at ballet. I was really good at dancing. But, I was telling my mom a couple of days ago that it was like, I wasn't famous. I was never famous. I was never the best of all time. I was never the greatest of all time. I didn't make a dime doing this. Sure, people sort of thought it was something silly. If it wasn't a ball sport like softball or volleyball or whatever, then it's not a sport, right? So sure, people sort of snubbed what I did. But even though I was not this big deal, I felt successful. And I felt really good about it. And I felt like I achieved something. And I felt accomplished by it and satisfied by it and fulfilled by it because I loved it. And I was doing it because I loved it and for no other reason. And I practiced at it and I worked at it and I improved and I grew and I invested in it, not because I was making millions and not because it was my plan to make millions. I invested in it because I loved it. I invested in it because I thought, I just really like doing this and I could spend all day doing this. I'm passionate about it. I just think it's so beautiful and I love it. And that's why I did ballet. That's why I danced. It was because I loved it and for no other reason. I sort of looked at that and I looked at that experience and I looked at that mindset and then I applied it to my life now. Because I feel like once you graduate high school, there's either this pressure of, okay, just go get your dead-end job and be miserable, or there's this pressure of, now you have to make a name for yourself. And I really fell into that second category, into that second camp of, I need to make a name for myself now. And so I applied my high school mentality to my life. I realized that it's like, okay, with this YouTube channel, I don't need to be doing anything besides what I love to do. I don't need to do this because I want to make millions and be this mega million subscriber YouTube channel. I can do this because I just like creating YouTube videos and I want to share what I'm learning with you. That's why I do this. That can be my reason for this YouTube channel. I don't have to have this major, crazy, awesome, unique, sort of unconventional career. I don't have to do that. I don't have to be this off-the-wall creature. I don't have to do that. I don't have to worry about that. I can invest in things that it's like, okay, maybe I lean into this virtual assistant career. No, my name is not going to be in lights. No, I'm not going to be this insanely impactful person. I might have a few clients, and that might be my life. That might be my career. Am I okay with that? Am I okay with that? Am I okay with not making 6 figures a year? Am I okay with living a humble lifestyle? Am I okay with that? And when it came down to it, it was like, yeah, I could be happy with both. I don't need to be a big deal. I felt this pressure to be a big deal, not because being a big deal was so important to me. I felt this pressure because I felt like I needed to prove myself, because I felt like in order to be successful, I had to show everybody else just how incredibly successful I could be. And so my pursuit of being a big deal had absolutely nothing to do with what I wanted. It had absolutely nothing to do with what I was passionate about, with what I loved or anything. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with, well, I just want to show them that I can be something. I just want to show people that, I can be more than what they assumed I could be. I just want to be better than this person. I just want to, that's what my mindset was. That's what my mindset was completely. Instead of, I'm going to do this because I like it and I'm good at it, instead of doing things for that reason, I was doing things for the reason of I want to prove people wrong. I want to prove to people that I can be bigger than they ever thought. And so you don't need to be a big deal. I mean, you really don't need to be a big deal. Honestly, I think that the best way to approach your life is, I'm going to do this thing because, like I said, I love it, I'm really good at it, and I'm in some fashion fulfilled by it. Like, for example, the virtual assisting stuff. I love being a virtual assistant. Not because, oh, everybody knows my name. It's not because of that. It's because I get to work with businesses. I get to work with female-owned businesses, and I get to say, hey, like, maybe you should do this. Or I could just help them run their business so that way they can focus on doing what they do best. And I love that. And I love being in the inner workings of a business. I love looking at that and learning about that and getting into their mindset and understanding the business and learning more about the business and learning about the passion behind the business. I love that. That is like my favorite thing ever. And so being a virtual assistant, it is not about, oh, I want to be the best virtual assistant in the world. It goes back to my experience with ballet. It is this idea of, I just really like doing it. And I'm good at it. And I can make money doing this. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to lean into that. And then it goes back to writing. It goes back to this YouTube channel when we're talking about things that we're creating and we're building. You know, I've told you that I felt this need to really lean into writing, and I felt this need to really lean into, you know, that avenue, as opposed to just pouring all of my heart and soul into this YouTube channel or whatever. It was like, I really feel like I need to give a lot of attention to writing. And looking at that, I thought, okay, in regards to that, do I need to be a New York Times bestseller? No. Do I need to have millions and millions of copies sold? No, I don't. The satisfaction comes from, I did it. I put it out into the world and I accomplished it. I completed it. I did something that was true to me. I did something that it was mine, and that is my stamp on the world, big or small, big or small. I don't need to be a big deal in order to have success. I don't need to be major in order to have success. I can simply be putting out into the world things that I love, things that are important to me, things that are so authentic to me. You know, the story that I'm writing, I've had this story on my mind for 10 years, and it's just a matter of getting it out onto paper. And I think, you know what? Like that, if I got that done, if I got that published, if I got that put out into the world, I would be the happiest person in the world. I don't care if nobody reads it. I don't care. Like, I honestly do not care. I hope people read it. Just like when I put these videos together and I put them out into the world, I hope that you watch them. And I hope that you gain some kind of impact. You gain some kind, you have some kind of breakthrough. Something good happens for you because you watch this video. You are impacted in some kind of way because you watch this video. That is my hope. But do I need to go viral? Do I need my book to go viral? No, I don't. It is this, I put it out there. I did it. I'm doing it. I'm creating it. And that's what it should be about. And so I think that, you know, being a big deal, you know, we're just surrounded by teenagers that go viral on TikTok, and then they're famous and they're worth billions of dollars by the time they're 19 years old. And so we feel like in order to have success, that's what we need to be and that's what we need to do. In all reality, it's like, that's not the case at all. You know, we don't have to be a big deal in order to have success. And we don't have to be a big deal in order to have impact. We don't have to be this major name in order to change the world in some way, big or small. We don't have to be a big deal. You know, we sort of think we have to be a big deal just because that's what we're surrounded by. We're surrounded by people that are very young and who have become a big deal. When the reality of it is that if you are fulfilled by something, if you are satisfied by something, if you are passionate about something, then that's enough. That's enough. You don't need to have millions of people be passionate about you doing what you're passionate about. You see what I'm saying? You don't have to have millions of other people looking at you and being passionate about you while you're being passionate about what you're doing. You don't need that. All you need is your passion. All you need is your fire. All you need is what you love. And you don't need anything else. And this need to be a big deal, it's 100% ego. It's 100% pride, which for me, in my case, I believe that pride is not good. Pride just holds you back. In my mind, it is humility that pushes you forward. In my mind, it is humility that really advances you in life, that really brings you into a life that is fulfilling and that is important and that is, satisfying. Because you're not afraid to do something. You're not afraid to be silly. You're not afraid to fail because you're humble. When you're prideful, when you have pride, failure is like terrible. It's the ultimate heartbreak. Failure is something that will just bring you to your knees because of your pride. And it goes right along with being a big deal. I was brought to my knees because I hadn't become a big deal. I wasn't a big deal. And talking about it and saying it out loud, it disgusts me that, for so long, that's what I was thinking was, I need to be important and people need to know how important I am. And when I say that out loud, it is disgusting. And if you are struggling with this, when you say it out loud, you think, my word, that's what I'm thinking? That's what I'm thinking? I'm obsessed with people being obsessed with me. I'm obsessed with people just being so enamored with me. That's what it boils down to, is this obsession with people oohing and awing you and people putting you on a pedestal. And when I realized that it was that's my problem, that is my problem. That's why I cannot advance in the world, in my life, just not even in the world, just in my life. That's why I cannot advance and move forward, is because I'm just so obsessed with, I need people to adore me and I need more people to adore me. It really brings you back to, holy cow, that, it's just toxic. It's just a toxic thought pattern. It makes you see, it made me see how there were so many things that I was afraid to do that I felt like I needed to do. I need to lean into this virtual assistant stuff. But for so long, I refused to do it because that wouldn't mean I would be a big deal. For so long, I thought, I need to write this book and I need to get it published. But I wouldn't do it because I thought, nobody knows who I am. Nobody's going to read it. And that's just not okay. This book has to be a splash. It needs to make a splash. And it was just holding me back. It was just holding me back. This need to be a big deal, because anything that I thought did not equate to me being a big deal, I would not do, even if it brought me the most joy. So, you don't need to be a big deal. You don't need to be this major player. You don't need to make a splash. You don't need that. You don't need that. In order to be successful, in order to be satisfied, in order to be fulfilled, in order to be happy with your life, you don't need to be a big deal. In my opinion, the only way you should even begin to become a big deal is if you stumble upon it because you were simply doing what you loved to do most. And there should be no other reason why you become a big deal. There should be absolutely no other reason why you become a big deal. You shouldn't become a big deal because you tried to become a big deal. You should become a big deal because you were just going along, minding your own business, enjoying life, and doing what you loved, and people caught on to that, and people really tuned in to your passion. and to your authenticity. There should be absolutely no other reason why you become a big deal. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you so much for chatting with me. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below to stay in the loop with my future uploads. Thank you so much for joining me today. I love you oh so very much. And until next time, so long.